Okay, so have you noticed those med spa signs are like everywhere these days?
Right.
Seriously, it's like every strip mall suddenly needs one.
Yeah, it's not just you.
But it got me thinking, is it just a trend
Or
or
something bigger.
exactly?
Yeah.
And turns out it's way bigger. We're talking a multi-billion-dollar industry here,
Yeah,
folks.
yeah, the business of beauty is booming.
So get ready, because today we're doing a deep dive into the world of aesthetics, those med spas, and what's really fueling this incredible growth.
It's going to be fascinating. I mean, we've got some great resources on setting up an aesthetic practice, both here in the US and in the UK. So,
Let's unpack it all.
exactly. Let's see what we've got.
All right, so first things first. From what I'm seeing, there are like two main paths people are taking to jump into this world, right?
Yeah, you've pretty much got it. There are two dominant business models that are emerging. We're seeing, on the one hand, this rise of the high-end med spa, and then on the other hand, a more personalized, practitioner-led approach.
Right, and both of them obviously have their own sort of advantages and challenges.
Definitely different vibes for sure.
So let's start with med spas because, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what got me thinking about this whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like they're everywhere right now,
Yeah.
but you walk into one of these places and it's a whole experience, right? It's all about that luxurious vibe.
That's the sell, right?
Yeah. It's the sleek decor,
Mm-hmm.
the fancy machines that like probably cost a fortune.
You're not wrong.
And don't forget about those cutting edge lasers, right? Like, are we talking like IPL treatments here?
Oh, for sure. IPL is huge for skin rejuvenation. And don't even get me started on the body contouring devices.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Those are on another level.
See, this is what I'm talking about. It's like you want the latest and greatest. These med spas are where you go.
Yeah, if you're looking for that high-tech, really targeted treatment, that's where they shine.
And it's not just lasers, is it?
Oh, no, not even close. They've got it all. You want a hydrofacial, they've got you covered.
Oh, tell me about it. A friend of mine swears by those things.
I mean, it makes sense. Multi-step treatment. Cleanses, exfoliates, infuses the skin.
Yeah.
People walk out looking seriously refreshed.
They do. They do. They're like glowing.
Yeah, you pay for it, though.
I bet.
I know
That's the
that.
thing, right? You're not walking into a med spa for a quick facial and a cup of tea. I mean, we are talking some serious startup costs for anyone looking to get into this side of the business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's capital intensive for sure, especially if you want to do it right. You're not just covering the technology, you've got to create that whole ambiance, the experience.
Exactly. You're paying for the location, you're paying for the staff.
Exactly. Think prime location, so your rent's through the roof. Then you need experienced estheticians, and they don't come cheap, so staff salaries add up quickly.
And what about marketing? You've got to get the word out somehow.
Oh, absolutely. Word of mouth only gets you so far in this game. You need a solid marketing strategy to really pull in those clients, especially in such a competitive market.
Okay, so big investments, high overhead. But the potential payoff, though, right? I mean, we're talking Botox, we're talking fillers.
Yeah.
Those treatments don't come cheap.
No, they don't. And those profit margins, they can be pretty enticing. You're looking at, what, 110 pound to 230 pounds a pop for Botox, maybe even more, depending on the practitioner and the location.
Yeah, and over here in the U.S., it's even higher. We're talking $140 to $300. Easy. So, yeah, I get why it's tempting. You see those numbers and you're like, sign me up.
Right. Like, who wouldn't want a piece of that pie?
Right.
But, as with anything, there's always more to the story.
Okay, so what's the catch?
Well, those profit margins everyone talks about, they're often idealized. They look great on paper, but in reality...
You don't tell the whole story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to factor in everything else, the marketing costs, the rent, the salaries. Those ongoing expenses can eat into those profits faster than you might think.
Makes sense. You've got to spend money to make money, as they say.
It's true, particularly in this industry. And look, to make a real impact, to really turn a profit, you need a constant stream of clients, right?
Yeah, you need people coming through the door.
Exactly. And that means what?
A hefty marketing budget.
Exactly. You've got to stay ahead of the game. And sometimes that even means offering discounts to stay competitive, especially with so many med spas popping up left and right.
Okay, so maybe it's not the gold mine it might seem at first glance.
No, not necessarily.
Which brings us to the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Right? This practitioner-led model, this one really intrigues me, actually. It feels like a complete 180 from the med spa world.
It is. It's a totally different approach.
Yeah, less about the glitz and glamour and more about building a personal brand.
Yeah, much more about individual expertise and reputation.
Right, and from what I'm gathering, a skilled injector. someone who's at the top of their game and who's built a solid reputation can actually build a really successful business.
Oh, absolutely. And often with minimal overhead, too, which is a huge draw for a lot of people.
See, that's what I find so fascinating. It almost sounds too good to be true, right? Like lower startup costs,
Yeah.
less pressure, more control.
Yeah.
Where do I sign up?
Well, let's break it down because it's not always easy, right?
All right.
But the beauty of this model is it can be so adaptable. Imagine this. You're a skilled injector, you're passionate about what you do, but you don't want the hassle of running a full-blown med spa.
Right. Makes sense.
What do? Well, maybe you rent a room in an existing clinic, maybe a couple days a week, or you work from home if your setup meets regulations.
Oh, interesting. So you're not tied to one location.
Exactly. You can be more flexible.
Okay. And then how do you build your clientele? Is it all word of mouth?
Word of mouth is huge in this field, definitely. But social media is a game changer, too.
Oh, for sure. Instagram, TikTok.
It's all about showcasing your skills, your aesthetic, building that online presence.
I guess that personal touch, right?
Absolutely. Building relationships with your clients, making them feel seen and heard, that's what keeps them coming back. It's about trust and connection. And in this field, that's everything.
It's like you're building a mini community around your brand.
You got it.
Okay, but I have to ask, doesn't that limit your growth potential? I mean, you can only see so many clients in a day, right?
That's the assumption, but not necessarily. There are practitioners who are getting really creative, building their own ecosystems, so to speak.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
Okay, so picture this. You have a dermatologist, right?
Okay.
They're amazing at what they do, but they don't offer injectables.
Right.
But then they team up with an injector who specializes in, say, lip fillers.
Okay.
They refer clients to each other, they collaborate, and suddenly they're offering a much wider range of services, reaching a broader client base.
Wow, that's smart.
And it's a win-win. They both benefit, and the client gets a more holistic approach to their aesthetic goals.
So it's like building a mini empire, but in a way that still feels very personalized and, kind of boutique-y almost.
That's a great way to put it. And don't forget, a lot of these practitioners, they're also creating additional income streams. They're offering training to other practitioners, or they're curating their own lines of skincare products.
Oh, right, like their own brand of serums or something.
Exactly. They're leveraging their expertise to build multifaceted businesses.
That's amazing. See, I love hearing about this kind of entrepreneurial spirit.
It's inspiring.
It is, and it makes me wonder, what is it about right now, about this moment in time, that's making this industry explode on both sides of the pond? I mean, I was looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. There are like over 11,000 med spas in the U.S. alone, and here in the U.K., the market's worth a whopping £3 billion. That's insane.
It's huge, and it's only growing.
So what's driving this insatiable desire for aesthetic treatments?
Well, it's not just one thing, right? I think it's a combination of factors.
Like what?
Well, socially, I think we're seeing a shift towards more openness.
Okay.
Like, people are more comfortable talking about cosmetic treatments than they used to be.
Oh, for sure. It's not so taboo anymore.
Right. And there's less stigma attached to wanting to enhance your appearance. I think that's huge. And I think a lot of it has to do with the advancements we're seeing in non-surgical options. I mean, the technology out there now is mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, take ultrasound technology, for example.
What, for skin tightening and stuff?
Exactly. It used to be if you wanted to lift and tighten, you had to go under the knife.
Right.
Now you can achieve remarkable results non-surgically, and it's only getting better.
Wow. And then there's, what is it? Microneedling with radiofrequency?
Yes. Microneedling with radiofrequency. That's another one that's just revolutionizing the game.
It is.
It's amazing for collagen stimulation and skin rejuvenation, and people are seeing amazing results.
Yeah, and it's not just those treatments, right? I mean, the advancements in fillers and injectables, it's all happening so fast.
Yeah, it really is. And the best part, these treatments, they're not just becoming more sophisticated, they're also becoming more accessible. They're more affordable. They often have quicker recovery times.
So there's less downtime.
Exactly. And that makes a big difference for a lot of people.
No, for sure. It's like you can get a treatment on a Friday and be back at work on Monday, no problem.
Exactly. It's not this big, scary thing anymore. And I think that's a huge part of why we're seeing this surge in popularity.
And it's not just about fixing what we perceive as flaws anymore, right?
No, you're right.
It's like there's this whole preventative aspect to it now. It's about maintaining a youthful appearance for as long as possible.
100%. And honestly, can you blame people?
No, I don't.
Who doesn't want to look and feel their best for as long as possible, right?
Right. And it's interesting because you mentioned this idea of like social shifts. And I do think millennials, especially, they're playing a huge role in this whole movement.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like growing up with social media, with that constant online presence. I think it's really shifted the way they view beauty and aging.
It's like their mantra is don't just age gracefully, age strategically,
Yes.
and they're not afraid to invest in themselves, to try new things. It's a totally different mindset than previous generations.
It is. And honestly, more power to them, I say.
I agree.
So we've talked about the med spa model. We've talked about the practitioner-led approach.
It's a fascinating world.
It really is. And I think we barely scratched the surface. But it does leave me with one final thought, something to kind of ponder.
I'm listening.
What does this booming industry, this quest for, aesthetic enhancement say about our evolving relationship with beauty and aging? Is it empowering? Is it problematic?
Ooh, good question.
I don't have the answers, but it's definitely something to think about, right?
It is. It's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Exactly. So until next time, keep those questions coming, folks.